Hello, this is Michael with Manhattan Rare Books, and what we have for you today is a collection of the first appearances of 24 Sherlock Holmes stories, all the stories that were later collected in the adventures and memoirs of Sherlock Holmes. If you were alive in 1891 and you were a fan of Sherlock Holmes, this is how you'd have gotten your hands on the latest Holmes story, by picking up a copy of the latest issue of the monthly Strand magazine. See, Doyle had a perfect idea: to create a series of self-contained stories with the same characters in a monthly serial. It would be perfect, he thought, because you'd have continuity, but wouldn't be lost if you missed an issue. The Strand agreed, and a perfect idea it indeed was. The issues are fascinating, and the stories are wonderfully illustrated by Sidney Paget. In fact, most of our images of Holmes and Watson come from these illustrations. I mean, every story is illustrated. There's this silver blaze here as an example. And what I love about these issues is you really get to see the context of the time. I mean, complete with all these great ads. Not so different from today. You see elixirs, cure-alls, diet pills, sleep aids. There's so much fun to look at. Sweet Swiss coffee. Anyway, the stories became so popular that Strand subscriptions soared. Doyle, however, after writing these 24 stories, became tired of Holmes and thought that the stories took him away from his more important writing, historical fiction, and boy, was he wrong there. And he famously killed off Sherlock Holmes in the last issue here, The Final Problem, and that's right here. The Final Problem, here it is. Has this great illustration of Holmes wrestling with Moriarty and falling to his death, clearly his death, because it says so here, at Reichenbach Falls. The story, as we know, though, doesn't end there. After The Final Problem, with no more Holmes in the Strand, 20,000 readers canceled their subscriptions, and Doyle was heavily pressured by the Strand to write more stories, but he kept refusing. 8 years later, Doyle revived Holmes in The Hound of the Baskervilles, but that was a flashback story. I mean, Holmes, after all, was dead, as we just saw. But in 1903, the Strand finally made Doyle an offer he couldn't refuse, and he relented. We learned that Holmes didn't die, after all, in his fall at Reichenbach Falls, somehow, amazingly, but he was just hiding to elude his enemies. There are 25 issues here. In the original condition, The Adventure of the Naval Treaty was published across 2 issues, and the collection contains one story that was not included in the later book printing of the memoirs, The Cardboard Box, because it addressed adultery and was therefore deemed unsuitable for younger readers. Let's take a look at the condition. These are really difficult to get because, they're magazines. People use them and threw them away. Generally, the condition is outstanding. If you try to find individual issues, you usually see them taped up, missing spines. This is the only one with the spine that has a really serious problem. They're bright and clean inside. This was put together by a collector who only bought the best he could find. There we go. It's really an outstanding set. Actually, it's worth taking another look here at, where is it? The first issue, here it is, containing a scandal in Bohemia. It's a very difficult issue to find. I mean, the subscriptions hadn't soared yet, so they didn't print that many of these. And there it is. To Sherlock Holmes, she is always the woman. This copy of the rarest issue is really, really nice. Comes in these special boxes we made for it. And thanks. Please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions.